Hello there, I'm Simon Rife and welcome to Brown Bag Bible Study, the Bible study that you can do in your lunch break. Now this is an introduction to Scripture. It's going to give you some information that you might not be familiar with, and it's going to encourage you to read the Bible. But most importantly, it's presented in easy digested, bite-sized pieces, perfect to fit in with our busy lifestyles today. Every week I'll be concentrating on a small part of Scripture, either one of the 73 books of the Bible or a group of related books. And I'll bring you some interesting facts and information to help you understand it. I'll also be including links to further readings, some articles, books, and what have you that'll help you learn to love sacred Scripture even more. This week, one of the most misunderstood books of the Bible, the Song of Songs, also known as the Song of Solomon. This is one of the wisdom books. Now, at first glance, some might say this is because there's nowhere else to put it. But the truth of the matter is, this book contains just as much good advice and spiritual guidance as the rest of the wisdom books, albeit in a format that we might find very unconventional for a religious text. The full title, The Song of Songs, which is Solomon's, shows the work is ascribed to Solomon, king of Israel, son of David, as are many of the wisdom books. Now, scholarship suggests this isn't the case, giving a date of around the 4th or 5th century before Christ. Solomon is an appealing author not only because of his wisdom, but because of the many concubines and wives that he had. The text is unashamedly a love poem, or rather a collection of love poems. There are 5 poems: epilogue, prologue, and appendix. Now, when given a cursory reading, there is nothing more here than romantic love poetry. The language used is beautiful, even though much of the imagery is unfamiliar to our modern ears, drawing on the traditions of the Near East and the Israelites' experience as a nomadic, agrarian, and grazing animal herding culture. The piece is also unashamedly erotic, now not, though, in the manner of modern pornography, but rather by extolling the virtues of married love and physical pleasures between a man and a woman. This aspect of love, the expression of love between a husband and a wife, is central to the theology of matrimony, and as the first vocation of the majority of the laity throughout history, an understanding of married love is vital for all Catholics. The Song of Songs gives us an example of erotic, romantic love which is not only beautiful, but also scriptural and inspired by God. But the piece is included in the biblical canon not merely because it is beautiful and helpful to understanding marriage and authentic Christian sexuality. The Jewish people saw the romance between the beloved and the lover as allegorical of the love between God and his chosen people. And this, of course, foreshadows the more perfect expression of the love between Christ and his church. The church is described as the bride of Christ, and his mystical body is described in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 23. Man and wife are one flesh, and so these two expressions of the relationship of God and his church flow together most perfectly. Some might object that God's relationship with the church is not sexual, which the Song of Songs clearly describes, and married relationships clearly are, but that misses the central point and the most profound imagery of the Song of Songs. We, human beings, are not spiritual creatures with a body. We are physical and spiritual beings. We do not have bodies, we are bodies. It is for this reason that our first parents' sin was a physical sin, done with their bodies, that our personal sins of the flesh are damning, and, most importantly, why Christ's salvation of us was accomplished with his flesh on the physical cross and is accomplished with the physical sacraments of the church. Our salvation, our relationship with Christ, and his relationship with the church is a physical relationship. Love between humans is physical. Mothers nurse sons, fathers cuddle daughters, and husbands and wives share the sacred physical union of sex, which brings forth new life. Christ's relationship with the church is unique, of course, but when using the imperfect human expressions of love as an allegory for Christ's love for the church, the love between husband and wife is the closest that we can get. Why? Because husbands and wives are called not only to have a sacrificial physical love for each other, to die to the world for each other, but only in marital love can new life be created. Procreation, participation in creation, working with God to make the future citizens of heaven is one of the highest things a human can do, and so this imagery of erotic matrimonial love is perhaps the most appropriate for the relationship between God and his church. Now, a word must be said about the liturgical use of the Song of Songs. It is frequently used in liturgies relating to the Blessed Mother and the Holy Women. Now, we should not assume from this any sort of marital or sexual relationship between Christ and any of these women. Some modern commentators have advanced such notions which have no basis in fact. A careful study of the particular passages chosen reveals specific reasons why these verses are used. On the Feast of the Magdalena, a passage related to seeking someone lost is used, as she sought Christ in the garden, for example. Ultimately, however, the passages from the Song of Songs are used because these women, united in a special way to Christ during his earthly ministry, share more perfectly in the relationship of Christ to his church. And in addition, the poem is beautiful and spends much time extolling the loveliness of the beloved, an appropriate text when talking about the holy women. That's all for this week. Do read the Song of Songs, and if you have time, take a look at the additional materials. There are some interesting links there this week, including a couple of artistic depictions of the songs, as well as a talk I gave concerning the importance of the physicality of Christ's salvific works, sins, and humanity. Next week, the Book of Wisdom. Until then, I'm Simon Rafe, and God bless. To learn more about the place of Scripture in the lives of Catholic Christians, I urge you to read Pope Benedict's apostolic exhortation Verbum Domini. The Pope encourages all Catholics to read, learn, and love Scripture and to understand its relation to the Church. A link to this exhortation is included in the reading materials for every episode of Brown Bag Bible Study. Just click the link over there.